listening to the Brotherly Talk podcast. Keep it real.
Hello, everybody. I'm your speaker, Dennis. I'm here joined with friend Roy, guest speaker Alexander. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Good, appreciate it.
I
I'm
will-
hand it over to Aubrey. Roy, he's gonna ask his first question.
Awesome. So yeah, I woke up today. I'm proud of that. I know Dennis woke up today, and I'm pretty sure Arnold did too. So, Alexander, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you come from, who you are. Just give us a little synopsis on who you are as a person, brother. We want to hear it.
Awesome. All right. So, yeah, my name is Alexander Arnold. Currently 21 years old. Married. I hail from Iowa. Both my parents were in, my mother and father, and my stepdad too. All Army. Moved around a lot due to being military brat. So then I joined as a 31 Bravo MP after high school, and then got stationed here at Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg. Jump out of planes for a living. It's pretty fun.
So you
Oh,
said
yeah.
you do jump out of planes. You're was it airborne? What is it?
just airborne.
Just airborne? Okay, airborne MP. I knew you were gonna be high speed. I'm calling you out right now. You jump out of airplanes.
Yeah.
All right, so Iowa, that's interesting. My wife's from Iowa. She's from Forest City.
I have no idea where that is.
No, yeah, she's a small town gal. So, so you said you're from Iowa and you come up in a military brat background and stuff. Yeah, whole family's just kind of been there, done that kind of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Surprise me, family.
How was that growing up? Everybody in your family, military.
It
What was that
was.
like?
It was. I had a pretty good upbringing. Because my mom, when she had me and my sister, she got out, but she was still married to my stepdad now. Well, stepdad,
Mhm.
and we moved around. I think 4 or 5 times within before I turned 16.
Mhm.
So it was definitely like the standard military brat. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna be moving
Yeah.
every couple of
Hmm.
years.
So, what branch was your father or your mother? Whoever was
All
joining?
army. All of us are
All
army.
Army. Oh
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah. So when you enlisted, I'm guessing. I feel like it's safe to assume that it was kind of like a legacy thing. Your parents passed it down to you, or you wanted to live in their footsteps.
It was definitely that.
Mhm.
Definitely had 'cause growing up, we had this the talks like my dad, my stepdad. He was always, I'm not gonna push you for the army. I want you to do your research, but me and your mom are gonna support you no matter what you do. And I was I graduated high school in South Dakota, so it was very like either go to college or like work part-time jobs or the military. I'm like, well, I know the military. I've been dealing with my whole life, so might as well just send it there. And yeah, here I am now.
And here we are.
All right. Well, you said that you're married. Congratulations, if that's
Thank you.
recent, because you said you're
Congrats.
21. When did you meet your wife
So
or
I actually met
spouse? Sorry,
that's
progressive.
wife.
Okay.
Wife. I so I actually met my wife on Bumble when I was at airborne school in Fort Benning, Georgia. That we were just talking on Bumble and yeah, she's pretty cute. So I got her Snapchat, got her her phone numbers, and we're FaceTiming like every day after the schoolhouse, and then got my wings, came back that night. She drove 5 hours to see me. She came down to Fort Bragg. She drove
Aw.
5 hours. We met. We had I think get a cookout, and we stayed in a hotel room, and the rest is history. Then about a little over a year later, we got married. So we got married this August. So
Hell yeah, man! Congrats.
That's
thank you.
awesome. That's
Of
awesome,
course.
brother. All right. So, as an MP on Fort Liberty, Fort Bragg, every time I hear Liberty now, the Liberty Mutual theme song just pops into my head. All right.
Yep.
What's the law enforcement life like on Fort Bragg? Do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it? Um, and then from there we'll branch off into other
To
stuff because
the
I'm sure that's pretty broad.
yeah. So it's pretty. I'm sure you guys know, but Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty has the most. It's the largest population of military installations due to it being the home of JSOC, special third special force group,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then the whole 82nd. It's not. It's a big base, but the majority of it is the field reservations for airborne ops because you have to jump, you have to land somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with that, for law enforcement, it's very wild.
Okay.
Definitely. I enjoy it. I loved working the road, especially during the holiday season, because that's what all MPs do is just work the road for the holidays.
That's facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but we get a lot of wild calls. You go on a shift not knowing like what's gonna happen that day. I know you can like you're always hoping I want to get off as soon as we like shift ends. I want to just go home, like drink a beer, have a shower, go to bed. 99% of the time, it's some domestic or possible suicide or a warrant always pops off like 5 minutes before shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have stories of like like wild cases, but I'm sure you guys have them too. But like law enforcement is always it's always fun. It's a hate to say it, but it's a fun not it's a fun time doing law enforcement here, Bragg.
I definitely
Right.
agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on the same page. So
Um.
so
Go ahead, Nin.
you want to go?
You got it,
All
brother.
right. I was gonna ask you to follow on to that question. Right. If you knew what you were getting into before you even signing that contract as an MP, right? Would you have still have signed it if you knew what the MP life was like?
If I knew what the MP life was like, I
Yeah.
definitely would not have signed a contract.
Okay.
Um, but I am thankful for signing that contract. Uh, but then again, my recruiter lied to me. She said, "Yeah, 31 Bravo, easy transition at 31 Kilo." 'Cause that's what I wanted was be a canine handler. But no,
Shit, that
yeah.
makes you and me both, my boy.
That's that's fair. That's fair. Someone once confused me for a canine handler, and they were like, "Why didn't you do it?" And I was like, "Cause I was stupid." That would have been chill as hell. All right. I was asked you about law enforcement. You said you enjoyed it. Um, so here's a really good question that I think that's really gonna pick like all three of our minds. Okay, so something that we don't get as MPs is sufficient training. I think we can all agree on that. We don't get the opportunity and the time invested for to receive sufficient training because we're law enforcement officers. We're federally certified as law enforcement police officers who enforce not only the Uniform Code of Military Justice, federal laws, but local and state, right? So that's more shit that we have to enforce on a military installation than um, per se county and state, right? Nothing against those boys because I'm going to be wearing blue at some point or green because I'm going to Florida, and that's what I like to do. But there's always a story about a rookie cop that makes a mistake. All right, my question for you, Arnold, is as a rookie cop, what mistake did you make that really that like the first story that comes in your mind and what happened?
So I was lucky. I never had that like massive rookie mistake because my team leaders, when I first got here, my team leaders like they were with me at every step of the way. I
Mm-hmm.
got sufficient training. However, like the PSYOP guys who've like filled the PSYOP pipeline, they're MPs and they don't want to be MPs. They don't really care to be MPs. But this last holiday block leave, we had a newer guy, like a private. So there was a commander first sergeant, and like I forgot another, and that's just the subject. He pop taught for a UA for
Mm-hmm.
THC and THC, and this private, no idea what he was doing, didn't ask any questions. He just said, "All right, we'll take the specimen, we'll put it in the evidence room, and we're gonna hand it back over to you guys so you can do all your UCMJ, all that stuff." And you're not supposed to do that. Since well, having THC in your system and like using marijuana while in the service at Bragg, at least under policy letter, it's a big no, as
Mm-hmm.
well as in North Carolina it's illegal, so it's a both federal and state offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
he had to get processed. Was supposed to be processed through like his fingerprint scanned and
Mm-hmm.
all the whatnot for it.
The
Yeah.
whole
But
9 yards.
the private just let him send him on his way, and then the watch commander came in and he's like, "Hey, what happened with the pop tot UA? He's gone." And I ended up having to call this dude who pop tot, and said, "Hey, you need to come back to the law enforcement center. You have to we have to fill out some more paperwork for you." And he's like, "When do I gotta do that?" And I'm like, "Now, preferably." He's like, "I can't. I'm in Georgia." He As soon as he released them, he got on his car and just drove straight to Georgia because he was on leave.
Shit.
Oh, what a smart man. That's
Yeah.
a. All right, Dennis. What about you? What's one? I might know this story. I might not.
Mm.
What's a good mistake that you made?
So I guess one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. Well, not really like biggest. It's not. All right. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is my first ever domestic, right?
Mm-hmm.
PV2, right? First ever mid shift. I get a call for a domestic, right? And it was actually with our first squad leader, you, me, no Aubrey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I responded to the scene. I walked in, and the first thing I see is, a woman unconscious. And my first thought was to kind of step back, observe the scene, call for backup or medical because obviously this woman's unconscious. So I stepped back outside the doorway real quick, called up medical and everything. And then later on, my squad leader explained that, hey, look, in that situation, it looked like you weren't as active as you were supposed to be because you were supposed to possibly care for her because you don't know what kind of injury she was going through,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I understand that now. But back then, I was thinking, well, maybe I should have cleared the house first, call additional patrols. But in that moment, I understand the mistake made was I need to check up on the person first because I have to trust my squad leader and my other patrols to come in and clear the house or do the other things while I provide aid for this person.
Okay, I got you. So you kind of had like a little bit of a freezing moment, and I mean, like you said, it's your first domestic, so like, boom, immediately. I know that's like fucking adrenaline pumping. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
what do I do? Rookie cop kind of thing. That's I totally get that 100%. I wasn't gonna say something like that. I was gonna say I've locked myself out of my car maybe 3 times before I learned to keep my keys on me, and I pat myself every fucking time. Yeah. And then one of the most memorable time when I locked myself out of the car was in Area 4 on Fort Carson by the ammo supply point. There was an ISID alarm that we had responded to, and it was me and Rod. And I appreciate Rod for this because I wasn't alone when it happened, but I locked myself out. He stuck with me the entire time, and Patrol Soup comes, and before she even stepped out of her vehicle, I was like, I'm going to front and leaning rest. You can join me or not. And I'm like already just in the position, just assumed ready. And she walks up to me. She's like, "The fuck are you doing, idiot?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I'm ready." And she just told me to get up, fucking unlock the car for me, and I got on with shift, dog. I thought I was gonna get fucked up for that, but yeah, that's the one that really pops up. And then there was another time in the snow that really, uh, we know this person, but he definitely fucked me up for that one. at the end of
Yeah.
shift. He's like, "You fucking idiot! You're a fucking idiot!" I'm like, "Yes, Sergeant. I'm an idiot,
Now,
Sergeant. Who is
now
Sergeant?"
I'm not gonna name drop, all right, but probably one of the he's a good person. I'm not gonna say his name, but
Yeah.
one of the biggest fuck ups I've seen was this man locked himself out of his car with a subject in the back, and that shit was bad. Like obviously
Who
they
me?
unlocked this. No, no, not you.
Oh, I was like,
Not
I don't remember that.
no, 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 someone else. I'm not gonna name drop though, but yeah, that was
Okay.
probably one of the biggest fuck ups I've seen.
All right. All right. So with that in mind, right? Our mistakes. I know, Arnold, you said you're sitting over here like a golden child. Like, yeah, I never made mistakes. I had a great support system. But the mistake that you saw, that you watched, did that teach you any lesson that really, um, that you can like hold to heart now? Did that teach you anything that will influence your decisions in the future when it comes down to law enforcement?
Uh, that most definitely, yeah, because our patrol supervisor, um, at the time during that whole mistake, he was just seeing red. He didn't really have the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hear the private side of the story because this is his first time working the road. He just doesn't know what to do, and I kind of like, well, you need to be asking questions. You need to, you know, have the confidence and the courage to ask your questions. And if you don't know what's going on, just ask somebody. And so like it gave me more of an understanding. Like, all right, there's some stuff that people aren't gonna know, and they're just gonna want to take it on themselves to just
Mm-hmm.
accomplish the mission, do what
Yeah.
they think is right,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
and you just gotta like check in on them. Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Here, you should do this instead, and this is what I do to help it, like, smooth better. Definitely
Okay.
like have that more of a presence of leadership. Like, yeah, you fucked up, but let's move on from this. You know what to do now. Just ask your questions, and then
Okay.
just try to make them there.
So
That's respectable.
yeah. So what it taught you was pretty much how to be a better leader. You saw someone in their failure to be a leader and help that person in the situation that they were in because all they saw was red, and you're like, hey, okay, I know what not to do now, and you took that as a lesson to be a leader. And bringing up the idea of leader, your specialist promotable now. Congratulations.
So thank you,
Yeah, congrats, bro.
thank you.
How's it feel to be ready to take that step and put on the shoes of a corporal or a sergeant? How's that feel?
It's definitely a new, not really a new one, but it's just kind of funny because all my NCOs in my squad right now, they're away for training
Mm-hmm.
for like 2 weeks. So as of right now, it's me as acting squad leader, as a specialist promotable. So I'm like, well, now I'm getting time to learn being a squad leader. So now when my squad leader comes back, I can like, hey, this is what we've been doing as a squad. I know you're probably gonna change it, go back to the old ways, but
Mm-hmm.
this is what works for us. And just have that the feedback and the like that conversation as a hopefully as a younger NCO for like the forum, my squad leader who's like 2 years older than me.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you are currently in charge of the squad as a
Yes,
specialist promoter, correct?
correct. I am, yes.
Hell yeah, that's some great experience for you right there, man.
Yeah, if I ever hear that NCOs are the backbone of the army one more time, I'm gonna be like, bullshit. You better give these specialist promotables some fucking credit.
Hey, the E4 Mafia is still alive.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for that, brother. So specialist promotable. How'd your board go? What's a board look like for the company that you're in now currently?
Ooh, that's well, it wasn't in the ASUs. It was in OCP, ACUs and OCPs,
Okay.
and it was not in an actual conference room. It was out in the field doing a lot. It
Ah.
was what was it? It was almost 48 hours, no sleep, just doing mission after mission, like responding to IDF, doing an L-shaped ambush, just a whole bunch of tactical like field shit basically. And that's where I got like most of my training was in the field. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I can do
Yeah.
this. No problem.
Yeah.
The only downside to it is like kind of don't feel as competent as like the regulations or whatnot because I didn't have that time to like sit down and study. Oh, this is the AR for how to wear this or anything like that.
if if I'm being honest, brother, I would have rather had a field board as well, so I didn't have to learn that shit because I've never used that shit, nor will I ever use that shit in my life. There's been a select few times where I've actually had to resort to regulation, and I promise you, it's in lieu with like punishments kind of stuff. Okay, that's it. Now when it comes down to like I don't know, fucking uniform wear, you know how many 670-1 shit that we can just throw out because we're MPs, especially like on duty or
Oh,
something. A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
like with that, all the guys in the 82nd, like at Fort Bragg, we wore maroon berets because the majority of us are airborne.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like parallel. Nah, it's like mine's like up here, covering my whole like ear, flash like all the way down here. It's a fashion statement.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's a
Bro, the
fashion
last time I
statement.
got the last time I was told about an AR-670-1 statement was like 3 years ago. I don't think anyone ever fucking brings that shit up anymore, man.
Our sergeant major brings it up all the time.
Really?
My old first sergeant would look at my mustache and want to strangle me.
Yeah,
But
because you
we
riding the lines, my boy.
Oh, I'm not riding the lines. I'm over the lines, bro. I'm hanging over like a fucking mistletoe, bro. If you want to kiss it, come kiss it, you know?
Shit, say less.
All right, all right. So let's take a brief break from kind of army stuff and get to know you better as a person. Okay, Arnold. Again, I want to thank you for like jumping on here. I appreciate it.
Hmm.
I always have low expectations for things, but that's just the shitty part of me, kind of like speaking, because if you have low expectations with everything you do, it's probably because you've gotten the shit end of almost everything you've done, right? So you definitely put some expectations out there that I wasn't expecting having an interview, and I appreciate that. And then I want to apologize for expecting that shit. But you said that you're from Iowa, okay? My wife's from Iowa, and I know that Iowa is a completely different breed of human. Okay, what was life like in Iowa? Where'd you grow up? I know you said you jumped around a lot. I believe you said you enlisted while you were in South Dakota.
Yes.
Yeah, so where have you been,
It's
and what
I've
was that
been
life like? Yeah.
so we spent my stepdad when I was young. I was born in Iowa.
Hmm.
After like 3 years, my mom remarried to my stepdad,
Yeah.
and he was stationed in Fort Carson.
Mm.
So spent 6 years at Carson. Did my most of my elementary school there. Then he got then we PCS to Fort Leonard, Missouri. When he's attached to the Seaburn unit there.
Hmm.
And then after 2 years, so like I was in seventh grade, I think, and then we moved again to JBL in Washington, and that's where I spent like I think 4 years that time. So about halfway through high school graduation, then we moved. Then he got out. We moved to South Dakota because he took up a truck driving job
Hmm.
stationed out of South Dakota. So with that, I can say that going from like the suburbs to the city life to the rural life was kind of different. Like
Hmm.
seeing people like show up to school with their fancy ass like $200 Jordans to people with cowboy boots and
Yeah.
so like cow shit
Yeah.
on them. Uh and it was different. Like the city schools had a lot more money, a lot more funding. That's where I learned a lot of about about music
Hmm.
and theater and it's where I did a lot of my sports because might as well 'cause it's free because like the
Yeah. Yeah.
School's paying for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to South Dakota when it was coming from a class size of like 1,400 to a school size of 1,400 to my graduating class being around like 50 to 60 people.
Damn.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right.
So I like to say I'm pretty well rounded when it comes to like knowing people, like how they grow up as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can like sort of relate to people from all certain walks of life
Yeah.
due to the military. So
Okay. I actually have like another personal question for you. I see that you got like a nice little mic, a nice gaming chair, nice headset. What kind of stuff you into, man? You like streaming and stuff?
I'm trying to get into it more and more, but it's really hard to do, especially in my apartment complex because my neighbors downstairs plays music way too loud. Like not tonight, I'm really loud, but like that shit shakes the whole fucking floor.
Jeez.
Um, and with my wife, like when she's home, like from college and from her job, it's like I want to spend quality time with you, which I love my wife, and I can't really like play video games because I just feel bad. But with that, yeah, me and my buddies we used to play all the time. I used to be really big into streaming from like uh before I got married actually. So
Okay, nice. Hell yeah, man.
All right, we'll have to pull you into the Discord server that we go through. But go ahead, throw your
Sure.
ad out there, bro. Are you on Twitch?
yeah, I'm on Twitch. It's Arnie Arni, and I think three to five E's. It changes sometimes.
So
Like
Arnie with a bunch of E's. Okay.
it's Arnie with a bunch of E's. And my profile picture is me and with some little kids in Qatar, some little Afghanis.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you put the in
Right.
Qatar with Afghanis in there.
Yeah.
The with the kids sounded a little bit off for
Yeah.
a second there. All right,
Yeah.
so one of the things that you wanted to talk about, right? And we're coming up about the 30-minute marker, so we got a little bit of time here. Um, so you've been to Poland recently, okay?
Yes.
And you've also been to Qatar, okay? And those are still current events that happened and stuff, okay? Before I finish the question, keep OPSEC in mind, all right?
Yeah.
Because, we're all still in the military. But what was Qatar like for you? And then what were you doing in Qatar? Okay, if you're able to share that. If you're not, just disclose that immediately, because OPSEC, I know. Don't worry about it, brother, if you got to say no. And then what were you doing in Poland afterwards? And tell me a little bit about that and how'd it go.
All right. So originally, my unit was supposed to go into Afghanistan. We were supposed to be the first unit responding to into Kabul. That was our first primary mission. That didn't get accomplished due to the MP brigade, fucking 16th MP brigade being very not um conscientious of how many people were going because we got on I like my squad got on a bird like 4 or 5 times in Joint Base Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
So and every like 20 minutes, like, all right, get on the bird, you're going to Afghanistan. Get off the bird. Get on the bird. Get off the bird. So, and we ended up, the whole company ended up going to Kuwait and Qatar. One platoon stayed in Kuwait, the other two in Qatar, and we're just grabbing the refugees coming in from the C-130s and C-17s, putting them in tents with like makeshift housing, and then giving them food, water, peace of mind, knowing that they're out of Afghanistan, and we're just helping them as a stationary place. Like they'll come to Qatar, and then they'll leave to Germany, any place that's gonna take them. That's all we did for a couple months that we were there.
Yeah, humanitarian relief, which is
Humanitarian.
Yeah, help the people.
Yeah. And that's where we really got close as a platoon, because it was like 113 degrees at night, and it was dry as hell. And that's all we did. We did a lot of humanitarian relief there, and then towards the end of that, then I can't really discuss what happened near the end of that due to OPSEC.
yeah.
But then transitioning to Poland, we we're just kind of like guarding U.S. the U.S. like we're just guarding the little stations that the U.S. kind of occupied in certain areas of Poland. I
Mm-hmm.
know my unit we did we're just guarding the airfield for the first 47 days. It was 24-hour, well, it was 18-hour shifts,
Mm-hmm.
like 18 on, 6 off. But those 6 off, you had to walk 2 hours, take a shower, get some grub in you, then walk 2 hours back. So you didn't really have any days off.
Oof,
Anyway.
damn.
Walked. Oh, okay.
Uh and it was full bottle the whole time. It was ass. But then after that, the whole Eurocom was like, hey, we're gonna like let these guys like go out into Poland and sightsee, build that compassion with NATO between the U.S. and Polish,
Mm-hmm.
and the airfield that we were at, and during World War II, it was completely overtaken by Germans, and the 82nd Airborne actually helped. Um, what the word I'm looking for? Reoccupy that land,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it was
Mm.
very yeah, the mayor of the town we're at, he was very thankful for us being there, and he presented a plaque to the I think the command sergeant major of the
Oh,
82nd
nice.
division. And yeah, that's basically all we did in those two. It wasn't they were deployments, but not combat deployments. So
Well, that's what to expect with peacetime military. Like, we're not gonna go shoot some Russians right now. Maybe save that for later, right? With how the world's going. But no, I hear you though. That's good stuff though. Poland is what to expect at this time in the world that we're living in right now with the whole Russia versus Ukraine effort that's going on. Poland's been getting a couple backlashes, some missiles
Yeah,
accidentally getting shot
quote
into their
unquote.
land, and that's why we're there to help out with NATO and any efforts there. And then Qatar, um, that's something that I didn't know too much about. I actually missed that deployment because not deployment rotation because I was in traffic school, so I didn't do that. But yeah, I definitely respect that humanitarian relief is something that's big when it comes down to peacetime army. I see that a lot. People don't go combat situations much anymore. At this
Mm-hmm.
time, in the future, who the fuck knows? Because nothing's for certain anymore, right?
Yeah.
um,
I
Um,
appreciate you sharing those two experiences, right? So we got, about like 5 minutes left or so, but I want to end on a good note. So I want to ask you, what advice would you give to some of the new people or some of the new guys, civilians that are either gonna join the army or thinking about joining the army?
yeah.
definitely just full send it. Volunteer for any opportunity that's given to you. You never know where it's going to take you, and it's a massive adventure, and you'll make a lot of friends and brothers and sisters along the way. And at the end of the day, it's always something to look back on and be proud of. Especially when I put on my uniform every day, see my little U.S. Army sew on with my sewn on wings. Like it's very it's a great experience. Just ask your recruiter questions. Reach out to some of the service members that are in, and not like the recently ETS or retired ones too, because the army's changing, and our experiences can differ. I can know that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll also throw in there, to do your own research on a certain job that you want, just so the recruiters don't be like, oh yeah, you can get this and switch over to this. Speaking from experience.
All right. I've got one more question. Looks like we got about 3 minutes left. This shouldn't take you too long. So Arnold, you've been on rotations. You've done a lot of things. You've probably done more things than me at this point because I've been a lucky few that has done nothing but work law enforcement on Fort Carson. How do you feel about the way the world looks at law enforcement? And if you could say something to those people, what would that be?
Well, it's definitely it's a hard topic to look at because on the outside looking in, since I thin blue line is part of us. Like I always support like cops no matter what because I know what they all go through, what all of us go through, never knowing what's on the other side of that door, who's in that vehicle,
Yeah.
and like what I would tell people like from the looking at us is just hear our side of the story. Like try to put yourself in our situation because we've had buddies, friends, and like brothers and sisters who've done the same exact thing and they're not here with us anymore.
Yeah.
So just talk to us about it and give us the benefit of the doubt because not all of us are horrible, crooked cops like the majority of what's shown on the news and stuff like that are.
I like that. I appreciate
I
that.
like the answer. Totally respect it.
Yeah, it puts a tear to my eye, man. That was beautiful. I honestly don't think I could have said it better. There's two
facts, for
sides.
real.
There's two sides to every story. You can't formulate a decent and a good opinion until you hear both sides. It wouldn't be fair otherwise. And people definitely look at us differently because they don't hear our side. All right, with
It's that
that,
one spoiled apple that ruins the bunch.
that's true. Yeah. Well, Arnold, I appreciate you being here, brother, and I like you, so I'm gonna email you my Discord ID so we can maybe talk in the future as well. And I appreciate that you were joining. Dennis, any closing remarks? We got less than a
I
minute.
just want to say thank you, Alex, for joining us. It's been a real honor. Appreciate you having on. You've been a great guest. So yeah, hopefully I can see you in that Discord. All right.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you guys both so much for like to have me. It was just a great time just expressing my thoughts and my opinions on the matter.
Well, we appreciate you.
Awesome, brother. Arnold, you're the guest. You got, I don't know how many seconds left, but you get to close out if you can make it.
Well, I got nothing. Just thank you guys, and
Cool.
appreciate hopefully we can do this again in the future. A little while already, more experience to share.
Awesome, brother. All right, Arnold. Hopefully we'll see you soon, brother. Okay. You're listening to the Brotherly Talk Podcast. Keep it real.